we're going to talk about learning to make it safe. And moms have done a great job of that. Give it up for your mom. Yay, moms. So our topics is learn to make it safe. And that's probably at the heart of every mom, right? I think moms just naturally kind of think about making it safe. But even the moms probably will have something to learn maybe today. We've been talking about the fact that a lot of us, whenever someone pushes our buttons, we go into what's called fight or flight. Anybody been here through our series? Anybody been here, right? Any fighters out there? Usually the fighter's the one going, yeah, right? Or the flight, freeze, the freeze or flight kind of person is like, I don't want to, we hate conflict. Anybody flight, freeze people out there? Thank you. You guys are much better than the first group. The first group, were ready to confess. You guys are just ready to confess. Yeah, that's my problem. We also want to throw these out, our catching abilities, right? So there's some great things in the boxes, and they've got little cards that I encourage you to get. You can have a collection. You can collect all of them. They're like Pokemon cards. Okay, girls, you got it. Girls catch. Oh, worries right here. Oh, nice. Those are for you, by the way, extra Mother's Day gift. We are talking about learning how to make it safe, but we didn't start there. We started with just trying to build what we call around here self-awareness, increasing our awareness of kind of our own issues and things we can improve on, especially around communication, because the fight or flight thing happens and it messes up communication. Have you noticed that, right? When you power up, the other person tends to power off. When you want to, throw verbal hits, they hide. When silence happens, the other person kind of takes violence. When those things are taking place, which is a natural part of our physiological makeup, God's made us to have this fight or flight response. And if there's a lion on the loose, that's great, but I haven't seen one of those lately. If there's a bear in the woods, I went on a hike on Friday, and guess what? We saw a bear in the woods. She even had a little cub with her, but she was not interested in us, and so I didn't need to run. I just watched, right? So there's not too often that we actually need these responses, and oftentimes they come out in the most inopportune times. They come out with people we love. They come out in relationships and do damage. And so we talked, first of all, about learning to listen, and we talked about this beautiful handwriting that I have. Thank you very much. You want to accept that this is not easy. Communication is not an easy gig. I don't think anybody would say that. If they do, they're ignorant, right? We want to commit to learn new skills, to get better at it. We want to take time to understand. Remember we said the goal of communication is? Awesome. Yeah, thank you. We got two people. The goal of communication is understanding. Almost missed that step. To feel understood. That's what we're shooting for when we communicate all the time. No one ever communicates with the goal of being misunderstood. I hope they don't get this, right? I hope they read this wrong. We communicate with the goal of, so take time to first understand. That was a massive principle we talked about in that first message. And then improve your understanding by paraphrasing, checking out. This is what I thought. Is this what you said? This is what I thought you said. Most conflict comes from some degree of misunderstanding, misinterpretation. And then validate what you understand. That makes sense, not agree. It makes sense that you don't like me right now, right? It makes sense that the D word is, you're getting familiar with that. It makes sense that you feel like quitting, right? To validate wherever they are. And then to empathize with what you're understanding, kind of looking for that emotion underneath it. How many could just say honestly, yeah, I can improve in those areas? This is where all hands should be in the air. Just saying. The next thing we talked about was not just learning to listen, but learning to look. And so we've talked about here about identifying what we call as a crucial conversation. It's whenever there's opposing opinions. It's when the strong emotions are surfacing and the stakes are high. Today I want to talk about a couple, Jonathan and Julie. It could be any couple. It could be Matt and Marcia or Mark and Michelle, Bob and Brenda. It could be any couple. The names are changed to protect the innocent. But the story is the same to highlight the guilty, in which we all are. We are all guilty of fight or flight. And when we need to have a crucial conversation, unfortunately, this is when we're most guilty. Because we can recognize, wow, our emotions are really strong. Wow, we have opposing opinions. And so Jonathan and Julie have some things that have been going on in their relationship that make them a perfect couple to talk about. And you're probably going to find at some level some degree of affinity with their story. It's kind of typical that Jonathan wants to be more amorous. I don't know if you may not be familiar with that word, amorous. It means when you want more affection that leads to more sexual attention. He wants to be more amorous in the relationship, but Julie's not, she's not so much there. She's not really interested. A lot of times she's not in the mood. The proverbial headache comes up quite often. And whenever he brings this up and kind of pushes a little bit, Julie goes into fight mode. And Jonathan goes into stuffing and hiding mode. And so he backs off and doesn't say anything. Sometimes he doesn't say anything for days. So this issue is really doing some damage to the relationship. They're like most people. They really want a strong relationship. But their strong emotions over their opposing opinions create this need for a crucial conversation that they can't seem to have without dropping into either Julie's fight or Jonathan's flight. So today, and we talked about this last week. If you missed last week, you can watch. It's online. Today, we're going to talk about how we move out or we move into that crucial conversation with greater success. Today, we're going to talk about how to recognize when these two things are happening and how it's desperately needed to make it safe. Because the reason we go into silence or violence or pouncing or pouting or hitting or hiding, the reason we do those things is because we don't feel safe in the relationship. And so both Jonathan and Julie would say this, but Jonathan's been listening to the sermon series, and he's been processing with his men's group, and Jonathan's come to the point that he's kind of realized that maybe he has a plank problem. Jesus said this. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 3, Jesus says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, but pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say, 'Oh, let me take the speck out of your eye,' while the whole time you have a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your eye, then you'll see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye." So Jonathan's been paying attention, and he recognizes he just might have a plank problem. When we can do this, we make incredible headway in our relationships. So today we're going to talk about how to get there, how to kind of bring some of these skills together, how to use our learning to listen, and we're learning to look when things are not safe, and why they're not safe, and how do we make it safe. And we're going to start by saying safety first. Safety first. For several years, we did a summer program called Stretch, still one of my favorite seasons of a church. Hopefully we'll bring back some of the fun stuff we did. We did all kinds of things, but we had a series of years where we went whitewater rafting together. We had our men and our women in the groups that we'd go and spend the day on the river. And anybody ever done whitewater rafting? Awesome. 12 of you have. You should get out more. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. But we came to realize that if we're going to go rafting, we're going to hear a spiel. It's a safety spiel before we can even get in the boat. And sure enough, every single time, we're all there, we're all excited to go, and they go, "Okay, first, let's come on, gather around. So it's safety first. Here's your life jacket. Okay, got to go with the life jacket on. Don't put that thing on upside down. Your feet bobbing in the air, Put it right side on. Here's your paddles. Now, this is not to hit the person next to you. Use these. And so we would get literally in the boat, but on land, not in the water. And we would practice, okay, this is the way we go. Just on the left. Oh, everybody throw. And then backwards. How you do backwards. And then this is really important. They goes, what happens if you're going down the rapids and someone falls out of the boat? See ya. Kiss them goodbye. No. Safety first. Get them out of the water. So they showed us how to, you put your arms under their arms and you literally pull them over on top of yourself. An intimate moment together. You pull them out of the water and you save their life. Safety first. So literally all that was super important, because guess what? We needed all of that on the river, especially when we hit the rapids. It was like all of a sudden, we're just cruising along calm waters. And then you turn around and you see whitecaps. And your heart starts to beat a little faster. And what's happening? You know what's happening? Your amygdala is talking to your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus is talking to your sympathetic nervous system. And your sympathetic nervous system is injecting your bloodstream with epinephrine and cortisol. And all of a sudden it's like, take on the rapids, right? You're ready. Fight or flight has just kicked in. And you've got the energy to tackle that. Well, the same thing happens whenever you're going along and you think everything's just fine at home. But you turn a corner and your wife has got whitecaps. All of a sudden, there's rolling water, and there's rocks and boulders, and you're going, what do I do? Well, you got to think safety first. So notice what Jesus says about safety first. He says, first, take the log out of your own eye. Now, here's just kind of a side point, this little extra credit. For some of you, it's going to be really tempting for you to argue about who's got the speck and who's got the plank. I think you're the plank person. I got the speck, you got the plank. No. I have the speck, you have the plank. And what you're doing, you're just debating on the size of your plank, right? So don't argue over who's got the biggest plank. Just pay attention. You both have something in your eye. And when you've got something in your eye, what does it do? It arrests, stops everything good. Your day is shot till you get that out of your eye, right? So just take some ownership. I got something in my eye. And it's messing with the relationship. And so how can I pay attention to that? Safety first means I'm going to examine my own heart first. When we learn to look for this, we're going to do something that is a differentiation. And this is a helpful differentiation. You got to differentiate between saying, what is it? Content and conditions. Our couple, Jonathan and Julie, if you looked at their relationship a little more closely, right, we just got a little closer to this relationship, you would see that they have some conflict issues, not just around the level of physical attention they give one another, but they also struggle whenever it comes to conversations about finances. One of them is the debt snowball. I mean, they're like going to pay off that debt. And the other one thinks, you're working on the national debt, man. It's like, goodness, right? We're going to work on the debt. The other one feels like, loosen up a little bit. Let's spend some money. Let's have some fun. They're on different pages. Opposing opinions. And if you pressed in a little bit more, you'd find out that they're new parents. They've only got one child, Jillian. She's 2 years old. Spunky little thing. And one of them thinks that the style of parenting should be the family bed. That means Jillian sleeps with them all the time. This also interferes with the first problem. And the other one thinks that we should put her in a room and let her cry herself to sleep. Opposing opinions, strong emotion. Stakes are high, for crying out loud. Yeah, this is a marriage. This is a family we're talking about. This is a crucial conversation. But instead of resolving it, just infuriates both of them. One goes into pouncing and the other one goes into pouting. One powers up, the other powers off. But Jonathan is starting to say, I think I see that maybe I got a plank in my own eye. Here's a question that helps us begin to differentiate. Content is our physical relationship. Content is our parenting. Content is our finances. Conditions are what you bring to the conversation. Yeah, that attitude thing. That motivation underneath you that kind of stirs inside. So when Jesus says, first take the plank out of your own eye, kind of deal with yourself first, you got to ask yourself a question. So this is the question to ask yourself, right? You're in this place. I'm learning to look. Okay, I see they're powering up or they're powering off. What do I do? Ask yourself this question. What do I really want for me, for the other person, and for the relationship? Right? What do you want? What do you want for yourself, for the other person, and for the relationship? See, it's not that we don't talk to ourselves. We talk to ourselves all the time. But we normally only answer the first part of that question. We normally just answer, what do I want from me? And so whenever you're kind of there, and you can't get past from just asking about me, but you got to get into what do I want for the other person? And what do I want for our relationship, right? Most of us that know that we've won fights but lost connection, oftentimes I can make my point and I make it profoundly, but I end up alienate the person. I haven't stopped to say, what do I want really for me, for the other person, and for the relationship? When we stop and pause and ask that question, we get a lot more clarity and might start raising, that there is some content that we're opposed, but the conditions, I'm bringing the wrong energy into this, and I've got to deal with that first. You see, whenever the conditions are not good, it's whenever I have to be right. I've got to know it all. I've got to get my way. And so when you're pausing to ask the question, what do I want for me, the other person relationship, and you think, I want to win. You know what that's a sign of? Safety first. Start with heart. The Apostle Paul, wanting to draw a group of believers together as pastor, want to kind of coach a pastor, in 1 Timothy 1:5 says, the goal of this command, the goal of the whole Jesus thing, right? We're here, and hey, if you didn't know, this is a church, by the way, if you're new, if you're guest with us, is if a mother drugged you here today, or a mother drugged you to get here today, you're glad you're here. Glad you're here. Wonderful. By the way, this is a church, and by the way, we believe in Jesus, right? We think he's the big deal. We think he's the most important person who's ever lived, the smartest guy who's ever been on the planet, and so we want to dedicate our lives to following him. So the Jesus thing, the Apostle Paul says, the goal of this command, this Jesus thing, is what? What is the goal? Love. Where's it come from? Pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith. The Apostle Paul said to the Galatian believers that the entire law can be summed up. I mean, everything in the Old Testament, the Bible's in two big pieces, Old and New. But everything can be summed up in one command. Say it with me, ready, set, go. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's the golden rule. Treat others as if you were the others. Treat others as if you were the others. That's what he wants us to do. And so whenever I pay attention to that, asking that question can help me. What do I want? For me, the other person, I want a loving relationship. I want healthy interaction. I want to feel like we're on the same page. I want us to be for one another. That's what I want in this relationship. And so when we do that, all of a sudden we can begin to align ourselves. Jonathan, he's starting to change his tune. He's starting to recognize that when he learns to look, whenever he learns to kind of pay attention to when Julie's getting all fired up in the fight mode, really what's going on is she just doesn't feel safe. But he doesn't have to get all bent out of shape because she's raising her voice. He can begin to recognize, well, she's just not feeling safe. And so she's reacting right now. And he's recognizing that, when all of a sudden, because he knows, whenever I stuff my emotions and pout around the house for 3 days, I'm no better. I can't say she keeps raising her voice whenever I keep squelching mine. I'm no better. And all throughout our series, we've been saying thank you. There is a better way of navigating these amazing relationships that we tend to make the fool's choice. We say something poorly or we say nothing at all. There's a better way. Jonathan's starting to really get this, so he's been asking himself this question. What do I really want for me? What do I want for her? What do I want for the relationship? So I can make it safe. Now, let me kind of talk about whenever you see that it's not safe, right? We're moving forward. We've got better listening. We're learning to look. And what we're seeing is powder pounds, right? We're seeing is breaking out or breaking down. We're looking at silence or violence. When I start to see that behavior in the other person or in myself, one of two things is going on. So one of two things is going on. Either we don't have mutual purpose, we're opposing opinions, we don't see what we both want, or we don't have mutual respect. We don't feel like the other person respects us, our position, our experience, our ideas. One of those two things is happening. In God's Word, let's talk about the first one, mutual purpose. God's Word actually talks a lot about mutual purpose. So one of the really wonderful things about faith, I had a great conversation with a sweet young lady after service this last service. And she says, I got this person that's broken up with me several times and he's back, but never wants anything to do with God. And I feel like he says, I'm going to change, but never change happens. And there's a real issue because there's no mutual purpose that's actually that's not affecting behavior. So we need that mutual purpose. The Bible talks a lot about that. The cool thing, I said, if you can have a mutual purpose about God, it can all of a sudden begin to direct you both towards a source that can help change your heart. Because when the condition of your heart changes, you can navigate the content much more effectively. The Bible talks a lot about this. Philippians chapter 2, I'm going to start with verse 1, which is not in your notes and not on the screen, but it is in your Bible. Okay, so you just got to listen to the first verse. The first verse says, now I want you to notice two things. He's going to go vertical, then he's going to go horizontal. He's going to go vertical, then he's going to go horizontal. So verse 1, which you can't see but is there, says, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ. Think about that. Any encouragement from Jesus. Any comfort from His love. Any fellowship with His Spirit. Then verse 2. Then make my joy complete by being, now look for the mutual purpose, by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Can you see how the latter part, this ability to kind of be interested in you, comes back to a mutual purpose around God? Here's one of the things that we could miss today because we're talking about horizontal stuff. We're talking about horizontal relationships. But in that text, he says, recognize you got encouragement from Christ, you got comfort from His love, you got fellowship with the Spirit. There's a vertical attention that's going on, a vertical intentionality that changes the horizontal experience. So the big thing that we believe around here is what you do with Jesus affects everything else. And so this is the reason for my being, is to help, motivate, encourage, train, equip you to have a better vertical relationship and therefore a corresponding improved horizontal set of relationships. But you neglect this to the peril of this. Are you tracking with me? I say that, and on a Mother's Day where there's some of us been drugged to church, there's some of you that may not be totally dialed into that. I get that. If you can begin to make incremental adjustments to see Jesus for who He is, the Son of God, the one who came, the salient figure of all of history, and you can begin to cultivate that relationship, I guarantee you it's going to change these relationships. So I hope for some of you, there's going to be a move in that direction. For others of you, you know how much you need God. And so it's a time to say, God, fill me with a greater level of sensitivity. Start with heart. And help me bring safety to relationships, whatever those relationships are. These two things. Purpose is critical for us to find an increased motivation for a common purpose. The next thing to ask yourselves is, do others believe that I care about their goals? They know you care about your goal. Ask yourself, does the other person on the other side of this challenge, do they believe that I care about their goals? And do they trust my motives? Big question, huh? Because if you think, yeah, I don't know. And the start with heart is like, I don't care about their goals, I care about mine. Plank problem. Plank problem. That's a sign. That's a sign that I've got some stuff to do because God calls me to consider other person's interests more important than my own. If I can't do that, there's a plank problem. Do they know I care about your goal as much as I do mine? Trying anyhow, right? Do they trust my motives? So if there's a common, you're getting me? So when I'm learning to look, there's either a common purpose problem or there's a mutual respect problem. Look at this next passage. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 17. I want you to notice what it does not say. Notice what it does not say. Show proper respect to the people you like. Show proper respect to people who are in your political vein. Show proper respect to people who view sexuality the same as you do. Show proper respect to people that are on the same wavelength as you are. That's not what it says. So say it with me. Ready, set, go. Show proper respect to everyone. Some of you are just going, that sounds really hard. I don't know if I can do that. You know what? Without Jesus, I think you're right. Yeah. Without Jesus, I think you're absolutely right. You can't do it. But He's the one who did do it. And He did it with such zeal and passion that it changed the world. To say the golden rule is the golden rule. It didn't come from outer space. It didn't come from some ancillary group. It came from the one who called Himself the Son of God, who came to pay the price for our sin debt, who loves us where we are, but loves us enough not to leave us where we are, but to bring us to a place of greater awareness of who He is and who we are. People that even though we oftentimes more than not get it wrong, He's a God that loves us and is not giving up. Some of you need to hear that last part again. He's a God that loves you right where you are, and He's not giving up. And if you're here today and you're a little calloused, you're a little hard, you're a little, your nonverbals are talking, guess what? Jesus sees you, He knows you, and He ain't giving up. He wants to continue to knock on your door. He wants to continue to say, anybody in there? Anybody home? But here's the deal. He won't force the door because the lock's on the inside. But when you choose to open it, He'll come in. He'll come in. The vertical has the power to transform the horizontal. Don't shut the door. Allow Him to knock and listen for it. Lord, are you helping me in this moment to recognize I've neglected the vertical? Maybe He is. Maybe that's the knock. Maybe the knock is, this information is, I need this. I need to be a better listener. I need to learn to look, and I don't know how to make it safe, but I want to. Then it's His knock saying, I'm here, and I want to help you. And we're here. We want to help you. Listen for the knock. Answer the call. Ask that question, do the other people believe that I care about their goals as much as I do mine? Well, Jonathan has been meditating on this passage, this Philippians passage. He's been meditating on this passage, and he can see clearly now that he has not been concerned about Julia's interests at all. He's been concerned about his interests. And it just keeps alienating the relationship. But he's finally recognizing that concerning all these areas, their finances and Jillian, their beautiful little girl, and their sexual relationship, that he needs to get the plank out of his own eye. And he wants to respect her. And he knows that she hasn't felt respected. And he knows he hasn't felt respected by her. Notice what James says a very similar thing. He says, with the tongue, James is kind of like, with the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers, this shouldn't be. This shouldn't be. When you and I can have enough of a connection to Jesus that we agree, this shouldn't be, right? I don't have to live this double standard. I want to be able to be respectful for everyone, and I want mutual respect. So I want us to shift gears. I give you, by the way, a biblical example of the Apostle Paul doing all this stuff beautifully in Acts chapter 17 for some future study. But I want us to shift and just talk about, okay, we're working on our listening skills. We're learning to listen. We're learning to look. That safety's at risk. Are you with me? Right? How do you know safety's at risk? Your heart's beating, you're powering up, or you're powering off, or vice versa. You're recognizing, okay, safety's at risk. What do? I want to give you 3 things to do. And honestly, truly, do the first one. And the first one, 9 times out of 10, is just going to be a slam dunk. That works so well. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, God. If it doesn't work, I'm going to give you a second thing. Because the second thing's wonderful. It helps. First one didn't work. Going to go for this one. Struck out once, struck out twice. I'll give you the third thing, right? A third thing is a little acrostic, some things to do. You know what my pastoral fantasy is that you all go home and write this on a little 3x5 card, start carrying it around with you and memorize it, because you know you commit to memory what you commit to life. And so that's my fantasy. I know that's not true. You're not going to do that. I know it's not true. But what if you took 1 or 2 of the things I'm going to give you? They're just tools for your toolbox. Anybody got a toolbox? I got a toolbox. And I got a lot of tools in my toolbox. And some of them I haven't used in years. But some of them I use all the time. What if today you picked up a tool or 2 you began to be proficient in, and you used it all the time? You know what happened? Your relationship would change. The relationship that's a problem, the issue that's a problem, would begin to change if you pick up a tool. Here's the first tool. Some of you're not going to like this at all. First tool, apologize. You mean that You mean that the sorry thing? The S word? Yeah, the S word. I'm sorry. Well, what am I sorry for? Several things. What you said, right? Sometimes you should be sorry for what you said. It was not helpful. It was not beneficial. It was not warranted. Say, I'm sorry for what I said, or how you said it. Sometimes it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Apologize for that. Sometimes it's because you were not clear. You did not communicate clearly so they understood what you were saying. You could say, I'm really sorry. I didn't articulate very well what my heart is, what I want for me and for us and for our relationship. Let me try that again. I'm sorry. Apologize. 9 times out of 10, that's just going to do it. Do you have a relationship where someone they're sensitive and they're just willing to say, I'm sorry? Conversely, do you have a relationship where someone never says they're sorry? You could probably evaluate the tempo, the cadence, the connection of the relationship based on that. Own the apology. Now, I gotta make a real clarifying thing here. When you apologize, be super careful to keep your butt out of it. You keep your butt out of it. No. I'm sorry. I'm not saying B-U-T-T. I'm saying B-U-T. You know what I'm saying? Because B-U-T, not B-U-T-T. Yeah, it might be. It might be a problem. I don't know. But the B-U-T is a conversation killer. It's a conversation killer because you can say whatever you want to say. You're a really nice guy, but. What? But what? You know what? We'd love to give you a loan, but. You know, we think this is great for you, but. Right? The but just kills whatever's in front of it, just lost anything good because the but is a negator. So take your but out of it, would you? And put in the and. The beauty of an and is it's a joiner. Jonathan, Julie, I know that our physical relationship has been a challenge. And I want to work to be more sensitive and understand why it is a challenge for you. It joins it. I know that you want to be close to Jillian and for her to be secure with us. And I want us to also have some space and time where we can just be together, you and I. The and is a joiner, the but it negates. And so when we learn to apologize well, 9 times out of 10, you're back on track. You're making progress again. But if you struck out on the apology, you know, I was working with a couple not long ago, and they just weren't getting it. They just the apology wasn't working. So we had to go to step 2. Step 2 is contrast. Contrast to make it safe. This is when you can see, because you're learning to look, that a misunderstanding has or is occurring. Use contrast. This is a don't do statement. It's a don't do statement. And it's beautiful because what it does is it addresses the thing that you're hung up on, that you're seeing differently. Let me give you a few examples using our couple as a model. In their relationship, it would sound like this. I don't want you to think physical relationship is your problem. Isn't that what we tend to do when we have opposing opinions? Right? They got the log, I got the speck. I don't want you to think our physical relationship is your problem. I do see it as an issue that I have to work on as well. And I think that we do need some help. Don't think that, because why are they firing up? Why are they firing up or shutting down? Because they think you're pointing the finger, blaming it on them. So don't think that saving money is not a big deal. That's super important. I'm with you 100% on that. I do want us to have some budgeted money so we can spend some quality time doing some things together. See, I addressed the area that's the controversy in the don't, and I brought a better solution with the do. Use contrasting. The third thing is to create a mutual purpose. So we talked about respect. So these first two are really helpful to kind of deal with the respect problem. The next one is really important about dealing with mutual purpose. So CRIB, a little acrostic real quick for you. The first one is just commit to mutual purpose. What if both parties says, you know what, I'm committed. Are you committed? I'm committed too. I'm committed for us to have a stronger relationship. And when you can kind of even raise that purpose even higher by saying, I want us to have a relationship with God that's central and significant, because when that higher purpose is driving us, it will pull us together. When Jesus said, seek first my kingdom and other things come into play, he's saying exactly that. If that can be our goal, we can have a higher purpose. We move towards that. All of a sudden, we start getting more united because God is uniting us. He's humbling us. He's being kind to us. And out of His kindness comes kindness from ourselves. So commit. Let's seek a mutual purpose. Let's do whatever it takes. Counseling, therapy, a small group, a marriage enrichment, getting away. Whatever it takes, let's pursue mutual purpose. Commit to mutual purpose. Second one, recognize that your purpose may be counter to your strategy or maybe kind of competing with your strategy. Recognize a purpose behind the strategy. So whenever I've got a strategy, Julie's strategy is marriage with no benefits. Jonathan's strategy is sex every night. They got a different strategy for intimacy. They got to recognize maybe Julie, do you want a good relationship with your husband? Yes. Maybe the purpose is there, but the strategy is different. So Jonathan and Julie were on a little trip in the Bay Area. They decided to get away, try to practice some of these skills, and they rented a tandem bicycle. And so they're on this, the bicycle that's connected, So they're both pedaling away, and they're going up, San Francisco Hill. And Jonathan is just working so hard. He gets to the top, and he stops and goes, that was so hard. And Julie says, and dangerous too. If I had not had the brakes on the whole time, we could have rolled backwards. You had the brakes on? You see, they had a mutual goal, get to the top of the hill. They just had a different strategy to get there. Ask the other person. How do you apply this? Ask the other person, why do you want Jillian to be in bed with us every night? Why do you want us to not spend anything and have this incredibly tight budget? Ask why the strategy is that they're having. Because if you can kind of recognize that maybe you need to come together for a new strategy. Recognize the strategy behind the purpose. Because oftentimes we want the same thing. Do we want to have kids that don't know they're loved? Oh no, we want our kids to know they're loved. Do we want to have a close? Yeah, of course we want a close. Do we want to be dead? Yeah, of course. We want the same thing, but our strategy to get there is different. Maybe you need a new strategy. The I, as simple is now you've got to invent a mutual purpose. Now you've got to invent one. Okay, what it is. Okay, honey, we're going to go up this hill and just pedal with me and trust that we're not going to go backwards. Trust forward momentum. Just get on the same page with the strategy. Let's have a budget that really does aggressively tackle our debt, and let's have something allocated for our own personal enrichment. I know it might slow down the eventual elimination of debt, but I think we're going to be a lot happier as we get there. Think about, invent a strategy to help accomplish your mutual purpose. And the last thing is to brainstorm together new strategies. The worship team's going to come out and we're going to close our service. But I know that today, I've been shoveling a lot of stuff at you. Thank you for being here. I want to just talk briefly about what you can take out the door with you. Right? Which of these, maybe right away, I need that listening stuff. I need to first seek to understand. Man, you do that, and you're going to be a long ways down the road to a better relationship. Maybe it's the apologize thing. What is it for you? Right, otherwise, right, so here's the deal. No matter what I give you, information is going to fall short of transformation if you don't do the intentional implementation. I'm just offloading a bunch of information, and it'll never create transformation unless you're willing to do some implementation. So just a couple things you could possibly, maybe for you the implement thing is the vertical relationship with God because it's not on your radar, it's not a priority, and you're not connected with your significant other or your family about that. What if you just said, I get it, God should probably be on my radar, and showing up here probably isn't that terrible. God up there's okay. Maybe that's a place to start. Just to start leaning into that a little bit. You just see what happens as you nurture it just a bit, just start nurturing it some. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the relationship because you recognize you're a fighter, you're a flighter or a freezer, and you need to recognize that happens when safety's at risk. And so maybe it's that learning to look thing. You're kind of dial that in. And then it's like, okay, I see it. Now what am I going to do about it? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with safety first. I'm going to ask, what do I want from me, the other person in the relationship? As you take those things into your own life, we're here as a staff to support you. God's so for you. And some of those areas might be areas where the learning curve is pretty high. Stick with it. Stay engaged. Watch what God will do. Watch what He'll do. Would you bow your heads with me? I want to encourage you just right where you are, and we're all in different places, but right where you are, whatever you think, I think I could implement this, Pastor. Would you just ask God to help you do that? I think I could implement this piece. I want to open that door and not close it on God. I want to open the door to understanding more about what I can do differently and take the log out of my eye. I want to do that. Just tell Jesus. Just tell Jesus. Jesus, this is where I need you. God, I need you here. My marriage is struggling. God, I need you here. I'm struggling just with you and knowing you and trusting you. God, I need Jesus. I need you. With my parents or with my kids, God, I need you. At work, God, I need you. If you have never had a relationship with Jesus, I want to invite you with the door thing, right? We saw that open. It opens from the inside out. Just say, Jesus, I hear your knock today, and I open my heart's door. I don't even know what it looks like to have a relationship with you, but I'm pretty sure I need one, and I don't have one. So would you come in and do what you do? I need you. I confess. Lord, you know where we are. We ask that you just draw us. Keep knocking on our heart and draw us to the next step. Would you worship with us? Would you worship with us? Tell Jesus you love him.
I want to invite the prayer team to come up and invite you all to stand as we sing this last song. Love came down, for Christ came down to make it safe for us. Amen. Overwhelmed, and I cannot hear your voice. I hold on to what is true, though I cannot see. If the storms of life they come, and on the road ahead gets steep, I will lift these hands and pray. I will believe. I'll remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. Yeah. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing, I remind my soul, I am yours, I am forever yours. If my heart is overwhelmed and I cannot hear your way, but I feel your hands of grace rest upon me. Staying desperate for you, God. Desperate for you, God. Staying humble at your feet. I will lift these hands and praise. I will believe. I'll remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. You believe that? Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Oh, mountain high, the valley low, I sing out, remind my soul, I I am yours all my days. Jesus, I am yours. Let's declare that, church. I am yours. I am yours all my days. Jesus, I am yours. All to you. I am yours. I am yours all my days. Jesus, I am yours. Sing it, love came down. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I'm yours. I am forever yours. Oh, mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul. I am yours. I am forever yours. We are yours. We declare, Lord, our love for you here in this place. Thank you, God. We are yours, Jesus.